You're listening to the Superman Super Show, episode number 37, Carnahan's Heir. Hello and welcome to the Superman Super Show. I'm a host. My name is Steeven, and 1,000 miles over there to my right is another host, Mr. Ed Moore.
Howdy, guys. And that's Carnahan's Heir, not like hair. It's like right. This is Ed's hair. This is Carnahan's Heir. So,
there is an H.
Yes.
But
yes.
it's also not like
Steven
air.
mispronounced it.
Yeah.
When you look at it on a script, it's like his hair. Oh, his hair.
Yeah.
My
they
bad.
spelled hair wrong.
Yeah.
But it's also not air like Air Jordan.
No, and there's no E on the end like A-I-R-E. Yeah, it's all different. It's air with a air, right? I mean, we all know that.
Heirloom, which is, I think, where it comes from.
Does it? It's not the other way around?
I don't know.
I don't know. Could be. I don't know which way it goes.
I may be able to speak English, but that's about as far as it goes.
I don't know English. I was not an English major. That's always my defense. Like math, I was not a math major. So, So Steven, you spent some time over the holidays listening to podcasts. Do you have any recommendations for a good, or even it doesn't have to be good, but it's a podcast you enjoyed and you'd like to point out to people?
Yes. And to repeat maybe what I said a couple of episodes ago, the order in which I'm choosing these podcasts are just what is next on my queue, on my Apple podcast thing. So if you're out there and you do a podcast and you know that I listen to your podcast and you're like, why hasn't he talked about my podcast yet? I'll get to it. Just settle down. But today I want to talk about a show called Snafu. It's hosted by Ed Helms, who played the Nard dog on The Office. And let me read you the description here real quick. Hosted by Ed Helms, Snafu is a podcast about history's greatest screw-ups. On season 1, we tell the story of Able Archer 83, the NATO military exercise that almost caused a nuclear war in November of 1983. Or did it? And this season is just 8 episodes. Episode 8 came out on November 23rd. As we're recording this episode, November 29th, I have not listened to the final episode yet, but I have been hooked to this show from episode 1 because they do a really good job of going into, all the history of the Cold War, the what was going on in Russia, what was going on in America, the political games each side was playing, and why Russia may have thought that this military exercise was an actual nuclear threat, that we were actually getting ready to launch nuclear missiles into Russia. But then at one point there, as they give you all this information and you're like, my God, this was crazy that this actually happened. Then they introduce a little bit more information that's like, or did it really? And here's why maybe we think it might not have happened. And it's really good. It's really interesting. And I happen to be listening to it at the same time that I have started reading the Bwahaha era of the Justice League over again. Okay. And if you remember, the second issue of that deals with nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of fun to be in that world from listening to this show and then reading that issue and understanding a little more what was kind of going on at the time. It's very entertaining. It's very well put together, of course, because you can't get somebody like an Ed Helms to host it if it's not a high production value type of podcast. But right. It's really good. I don't know what the subject matter is going to be for season 2 or when season 2 is coming, but all of season 1 is out there. If y'all want to listen to it, it's pretty good. Snafu.
The Bwahaha era of the JLA had my favorite Dr. Fate story in it.
Oh yeah?
That involving the Gray Man.
The Gray Man? That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know only why. I can't explain, but yeah.
It's good stuff. I'm only on issue 3 right now of my reread. That's another one of those books from that time that I was in on from the beginning, but I don't remember if I ever finished the series. And so I'm going back to reread it. But yeah, the Gray Man, I think that because they allude to it in issue 2. So we've met the Gray Man by issue 2. And in fact, Dr. Fate, who joins the Justice League, he's right there from issue 1. But a little later in issue 1, he's like, all right, I can't help you guys with this. I got to go deal with something else. And you don't know why he just suddenly left. And it's because of the Gray Man. And we find that, I think that's coming up in issue 4. That also features the Creeper.
Yes. Maybe you didn't finish this volume of JLA because it changed title like 17 times over the next 6 years.
Yeah, I was with it for a while. I remember I was reading Justice League International. I was reading Justice League Europe. I remember like when Despero came in, and that's when the book really just like hooked me. But even though that was a bit in, and I actually do remember reading the final story arc, breakdowns, I think it was called. But there's I don't remember a lot of stuff in the middle. I remember Bart Sears was the artist on Justice League Europe. I think Adam Hughes may have done a couple of issues in there. That's where they kind of cut their teeth. So I'm revisiting it and I'm not that deep into it yet, but I'm having a lot of fun.
Alrighty. So what was it you said today? We're looking at Callahan's Heir.
We are, yes. Callahan's Heir. This appeared in Action Comics number 24. It was written by Jerry Siegel. Pencils by Joe Shuster with inks by Paul Cassaday. This has a cover date of May 1940, but according to Mike's Amazing World of Comics, an approximate sale date of March 21st, 1940. And, I don't think we've ever talked about the price of comics at this time. All these issues that we've been talking about have been selling for a cool dime.
Oh, there we go.
10 cents per issue, right? And some of these, these are anthology books. These are like 64 pages.
Yep.
But I suppose a dime back then was like $1, $2 nowadays, but I don't know. Oh, I hit the mic. Anyway, here's what happened in the book. Clark Kent investigates a newspaper ad asking for Superman's assistance from wealthy industrialist Rufus Carnahan. Carnahan explains that he is dying and wants Superman to take his son around. I read that wrong. Carnahan explains that he is dying and wants Superman to turn his son around because the boy has gambling problems. Superman agrees to help and learns that Peter, which apparently is Rufus's son. I don't know why they don't explain that in the synopsis. But he learns that Peter is in debt to a loan shark, Jake Brent, one of those guys with 2 first names. Carnahan dies and leaves his money to Peter, provided that the boy does not gamble. Brent threatens to expose Peter's vice if he does not pay him off. Brent is then shot. Peter is seen with a discarded gun, and he flees. Superman tracks him down, and the police arrest him. Although he claims his innocence, Peter is sent to trial and convicted. Superman, meanwhile, has gathered evidence that Brent's rival, Benny Farrell, was the murderer. The Man of Steel prevents Peter's execution and forces a confession from Farrell. Peter does not receive his inheritance, but it is used to help underprivileged boys. Ed, what'd you think?
I thought that 10 cents would be worth $2.12 today.
Oh, that's a good thought to have.
That's what I thought, because $1 then would be worth $21.29 today. So if you move the decimal over, so even for $2.21 for 64 pages, that's still good. That's good deal. Stuff.
Yep. Yeah. 22-page books now are what? $4.99.
Yeah, $5. So you're not going to get today 64 pages for $2.25. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, granted, the stuff today is put on better paper, and there's a more expensive coloring process.
Whatever.
And blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Yeah.
We sound like crotchety old men.
Yeah, really. The story, it just is. It seems to really be falling in line with the previous 2 that we have spoken of. It's just more of that. Attempting to, or not attempting, but just that grounded kind of Superman. Not that he's grounded, but grounded like street level, but not that he's street level because he's super. You know what I mean? Using all these buzzwords.
He's the strongest, superest street level hero around.
Yeah, really. He'd give Daredevil a run for his money, or Punisher, or Iron Fist, or any of those guys. I liked it. I'm typically with the Golden Age books. Well, just with any book, I want somebody equal to the superhero for the superhero to have to face. Otherwise, why give the superhero all these powers? Right. if they can't really use them, then why are they there? I understand that, starting out, they didn't necessarily, although this really isn't starting out per se, but they didn't know, they just didn't know that for some reason. And I can't quite grasp that, because if you read other media from this time, whatever aspect your hero has, typically your villains will have those aspects as well. In murder mysteries, it'll be really smart people, In wartime, it'll be usually really nasty, mean people that are mean to places that they conquer. The dude that was kind of gold toned and was a big pulpy hero.
Doc Savage?
Yes.
Okay.
Even he had villains that were more than just normal, average, typical people, because he was too. He was very athletic. He was very smart. Actually, he was a Mary Sue, if you want to, if you really want to talk about him. But Superman, except for a couple exceptions so far, it's continually these thugs, or there's been a couple military dictators, or just very street level, regular, normal kind of people that he's going up against. So I don't know. After
I feel like that these types of stories are more Jerry Siegel. They're like his fantasies put to paper. If if he sees crime and whatnot out there, and he wishes, if he had superpowers, right, this is what he would do. That's, I'm just guessing, but that's kind of what they feel like at times.
It could be, because we've seen from story to story to story that he just switches. This must have gotten in Siegel's craw this week, and this must have been this week. And so this just seems to be another one of those stories that something triggered this in the writer. What it would have been, I don't know. Maybe if we went back and looked at the actual news stories around this time or whatever, maybe we'd have a clue. But this is just another one of those that it's like, really? That's what Superman is? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. This is definitely a slightly different kind of premise. The fact that this dying rich man is asking Superman to take his boy under his wing because his boy's he just ain't right. He's got a gambling problem, and he needs a strong man in his life so this kid can turn his act around. And when we first meet Peter, you can just tell in that first couple of panels, you didn't even have to know who Peter is to know that he is a rich kid who doesn't appreciate his money because he's wearing a top hat that's all askew on his head. He's wearing his suit and tails, and he's all disheveled. He's a disheveled rich kid. So, yeah.
And then the capper is the panel here, 24. I know I should go to Dad's assistance, but I can't help it. I'm scared.
Okay, that's one of these moments I was talking about a few episodes ago that just suddenly, because the two panels before, the two panels that he's in before, the guy says, upstairs, a madman menacing your father. Go help him. And Peter's just like, a lunatic, you said? You go. What in blazes do you think you're being paid for? Which makes me feel like he's more of a, I'm a rich man. I don't have to deal. That's why we pay you. So he doesn't seem scared at all.
Paid for.
And then suddenly 2 panels later, the next time you see him, he's literally on the floor, face in his hands. I'm scared. And it's just a weird change of emotions for this guy. So I just have to assume he's just stinking drunk,
Okay. Could be. He's been out gambling and spent a little bit too much of his meager winnings on alcohol. And we find out that his winnings are nowhere near what they need to be because he runs afoul of his gambling there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to really say a whole lot about the story other than just, talking about, well, this happened and then that happened, because there's not necessarily anything outstanding.
No.
I do like the sequence where he stopped. Well, this time he stopped a car from running off the cliff by holding onto its rear bumper.
Yep. And then I think he destroys a tire maybe.
To make it stop, which is I think it's the next story. He should have done that with a train, because he stops a train, but then when he stopping the train doesn't keep going.
It just sits there.
It has stopped. Yeah. And I'm like, well, but if he,
it's not how that works. Yeah.
But this one he disabled so that it would quit going. Although my question is, how the heck did they affix the bumper to that car that he could do this to it?
Right. They built them to last back then.
I don't think it would work today if you tried to grab one by the bumper.
Yep. No. Bumper'd come right off. Superman would just be standing there with the bumper in his hand going, well, crap, I should have thought that one through.
I think it would. You may be able to stop it from going off the cliff. Maybe.
Yeah.
But you're not going to pick it up and set it down over here behind you by the bumper. I don't think the bumper would take that today.
Yeah. A couple of moments that did stand out for me. After because that was Peter in the car, who has at that point, he's been accused of murder. The guy the guy that he owes money to has tried to blackmail him. Said that if you don't pay me my money, the blackmailing didn't make a lot of sense. It's like, not only if you don't pay me my money, you're going to pay me even more. And if you don't, I'm going to tell everybody that you're gambling, and then that means you won't get your inheritance. And I'm thinking, but then you won't get your money that way. So why would you do that? You want him to get his inheritance, so he'll pay you. I don't understand why the bad guy wouldn't be like, I'm going to help you get your money. I'm not going to tell anybody, because once you get it, then I get paid.
But isn't that the way it always happens? When somebody runs afoul of money, the person threatens to kill them.
Yes.
Because I'm always like, well, that will ensure you don't get your money. So why are you doing that?
Yeah. Good movies and good TV shows will have the loan shark say, why would I kill them? Because then I don't get paid. I've seen it happen every once in a while. The loan shark is being... he's the suspect of the murder because the guy owes him money, and the guy will be like, why would I kill him?
Exactly.
Because then I don't get my money. I'll break his legs, but I'm not going to kill him.
Because then I definitely won't get paid. So yeah.
But when Superman saves him, when basically Peter's like, all right, well, I'm being accused of murder. I have no money. There's nothing left for me. I'm going to commit suicide and drive my car off a cliff. Superman saves him and then takes them to the police and assures Peter that if he's innocent, nothing bad will happen to him. Don't worry, Peter. Right. If you're innocent, nothing bad will happen.
Trust the
system. And he is convicted of murder and sent to death row, where he's going to be, executed. There's a headline, a panel here with the headline, Carnahan surrenders, is accused of murder. But there's a second headline next to it that just says, dog attracts aid to widow. I want to know what that story is about.
I don't know.
That's kind of a funny, but the only other moment I wanted to point out, there's a moment within the prison before the execution where there are reporters showing up for the execution, and one of them says, "Hey, I'm getting used to these executions finally." Wow,
Yeah.
So it's like, finally, I'm getting used to these. They don't bother me like they used to. Let's have some fries while we watch this guy fry, But I like how Superman does stop the execution, because he does catch the bad guy. And it looks like he's just going to race him to the prison, which sounds to me like just would kill the guy if he's running at supersonic speed.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he goes to the power plant and he basically blacks out the prison, so they can't electrocute him. I like that. But
that way everybody escapes, because all the doors open automatically when the power goes out. That's right.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's all for the greater good.
Yeah.
But
we didn't see that. I've noticed too a thing that they've started doing with the narration lettering, that circle around the first letter of, I think it's just about every narration box in this issue. I don't think I've noticed that before.
Yeah, I don't think I have either. It's kind of like when they, in a novel, they'll make the first letter of a chapter really big. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple times where they didn't do it, almost like, editor missed it there. Yeah. But
and there was, in one of those Lex Luthor stories, or at this point he's still just called Luthor, in that Superman book, he was putting like these little designs under the narration, these weird little pictographs.
Yeah.
That was weird, but I don't know that I've noticed this happening in any of the books. Maybe it's new for Action Comics starting at this issue. So
maybe so. Who was it that did this? Well, we don't know who did the letters, do we? We know that Paul Cassidy did the inks, but that doesn't mean he would have had anything to do with this.
Yeah. We have another moment in this issue where Superman forces the bad guy to confess, which, shouldn't hold up in a court of law.
Yeah, isn't that illegal? But
yeah,
okay.
But at the same time, it's like he tells the guy, go ahead, confess, or I'll shake your teeth loose. And the bad guy doesn't think, but if I confess, you're going to execute me. So it's either die now for sure, or maybe be executed. Maybe my lawyer can get me off on appeal. I don't know.
But take your chances.
Because I would think just being forced to confess would be a reason for their lawyer to stay that execution, But yeah.
Not in 1940 Metropolis. It was a tougher time.
No. And then Peter deciding, if I'm not going to get my money, then let's make sure that the fortune goes to help underprivileged children, underprivileged boys. He doesn't want underprivileged boys to turn out like him, which if they're underprivileged, they're not going to turn out like you, Peter. You turned out that way because you had money.
So yeah, really. So I guess the not to be offensive to those who this may offend, but his come to God point was the perp march towards the electric chair, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
there's nothing else that will put the light of Jesus into you, like facing your own mortality.
Well, I mean, what else happened to him that he?
Right.
I mean, he was not like that at the beginning.
No, not at all.
He was accused. Superman turned him over. He sat through a trial. And it rather quickly, I think he was to be executed, and it was time for the execution. I mean, it all seemed in pretty short order.
He was about to be put in the chair. I don't think he was in the chair when the lights went out, but there is a panel where they're getting ready to put him in the chair, and he's like, "Please don't do this to me. Don't, I beg you, don't kill me." And so, I'm sure that had something to do with it.
Yeah, well, that's the only point, going from what he was to the, I want to help others like me and make it, what is it? The Rufus Carnahan Home for Youth.
Yeah.
Is what
and he's running it. So,
I
don't know. To me, I would like to see them follow up on this story a few issues later and find out that he's like the guy that was running the orphanage. He's
the man
stealing
with the gambling problem.
Yep.
Well, let's put him in charge.
He went from, I'm not going to, somebody's beating up my dad, but I'm not going to do anything about it. That's what we pay you for, to, yes, my son, let's try to help these underprivileged youth.
Quite the leap. Quite the leap.
Yep. Yeah. And he's, when he's telling the guy that his hair is nice and neat, he's not wearing a disheveled top hat.
No. He's found the hair tonic to get all gussied up.
Before we go, I want to point out this comment from Doug from our previous conversation earlier in the episode. Doug too agrees that the Gray Man arc in the Justice League International is excellent.
Yeah. Hopefully at some point my Dr. Fate show will get to that. It's quite a ways down the road.
You'll get to the Keith Giffen 4-issue Dr. Fate mini first, which
that one is actually coming up in the foreseeable future. Yeah. This future is quite a ways away.
That's one I have started but have not finished. But big fan of Keith Giffen art.
Some of it.
He hasn't quite. It's like that era of Keith Giffen, I really like. He hasn't quite got to. I mean, when he's on Trencher.
Oh,
for
thank
Image,
you. That is exactly what I'm like.
What is going on here? But
I cannot.
That many, and then a little later, a couple of years later, he does the Heckler miniseries, and that at that point, that's where he's just like, boom, that's the Keith Giffen I really like.
Yeah, not Trencher.
Trencher, I don't know what he was trying to do with that.
Not early 90s Giffen.
No. Some of that was just indecipherable. Some of it was good, but some of it was just I have no idea what's going on on this page.
It was
so many things going on. So many squiggles and colors. And
when I was doing some research, I found that series from Image, he continued somewhere else for another 2 or 3 issues. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which was an off brand publisher. I don't know that I've ever heard of them doing anything else, but there's like another 3 or 4 issues after that first 4 issues at Image that he did for Trencher.
I know I've got at least the first issue up there in my collection somewhere. I don't know how far into it I went. I was getting anything Imaged put out back then. I was picking up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I've got some good stuff up there, and I've got some crap up there too.
You were not the only one.
Yep.
We did our part to get Image going strong.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'd like to think that Image is where they're at now because of people like us.
That's it.
Right.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to say about this episode?
No, sir.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. Then I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. If you want to drop us a line or ask us a question or just tell Ed how nice he looks with all that wisdom around his chin, you can send us an email over at the Superman Super Show at gmail.com. You can reach out to us on Twitter. The handle is @Soups Super Show. I don't know that we've ever talked about our Twitter handles. Mine is @Steeven or else.
Mine is @Teal Productions. TEAL.
If you want to reach out to Ed and be like, I don't know why you even deal with this guy.
so Steven doesn't know, or vice versa.
Right. Yeah.
You want to
talk smack on either of us.
There you go.
We'll have each other's back though. Right.
Yep. Because
Doug,
I'll be like,
if Doug reaches out to me and is like, boy, that Ed, I don't know. I'll be like, Doug, do you want to do the show with me?
You are so right, sir. Do you want to come on? And
Doug, that is so right. Let's get this started. We'll call it the other Superman Super Show.
Just don't throw me out a window, okay? That's all.
If I throw you out a window, Ed, I will run down there and catch you. Because it would be an amazing thing, just the fact that I could throw you out a window.
Well, would it be any more amazing that you were able to run around and catch me?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That whole sequence would just be.
Just the fact that I could lift a human being off the ground and then toss them means that there's something in my system that would make me also be able to run outside and catch them. Supernatural going on. You can also join us over at the forum.justanotherfanboy.com. That's a fun place to be, or it could be.
Yep.
If you were there. Yeah, if you were there, we need more participation. We need people. Doug's laughing at us right now. He put the smiley, the teary face, smiley face in the comments. That's what we're going for. We want people to laugh at us.
Be entertained.
I hope that was laughing at us and not with us.
No, I was not. I was serious.
Scene. Forum.justanotherfanboy.com. That's the place to be. All the links will be in the show notes. And so until next week, folks, I'm Steven and that's Ed. And this was the Superman Super Show. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Superman is a copyrighted feature appearing in Action Comics magazine.
Gamers and watch lovers, stay frosty. We've got covert intel. Movement, the official timekeeper of the highly anticipated Call of Duty Black Ops 6, is releasing a special edition Black Ops 6 watch and accessory collaboration. Bring the aesthetics of the Black Ops 6 story straight to your wrist and wardrobe. It even arrives with custom packaging and a free gift. Shop the exclusive special edition collaboration at mvmt.com/bo6. That's mvmt.com/bo6.